Are you ready for a change? Are you ready for your life to turn around? Are you ready for things to happen to bring you great success, to see your dreams and visions come to pass? Then you are at the right place at the right time, listening to the Julie Tussey Show podcast. Welcome. And while you're here, please subscribe and leave us a good review. Also, let your friends and family know about the Julie Tussey Show. Get on the Julie Tussey train. We're going somewhere, baby.
Pop the glam pain. It's time for the Julie Tussey Show live guest current event scathing exposés. The original suburban bombshell, the big blonde baby, giving you the fastest, funniest, most informative 30 minutes of your life. And now, here's Julie Tussey.
Thank you so much for joining us here on the Julie Tussey Show. I am rocking 2020, and I am loving it. I told you that it is the new era of the roaring 20s. When life roars at you, we're going to roar right back. And have I got a tiger on the phone with me today? You know, I love this woman with all my heart. Her name is Heather Robertson. She has a podcast called Half Size Me and an entire empire of half size me things that we're going to talk about today. Heather, welcome. How are you?
Thank you. I am great. Thank you so much for having me in the roaring 20s. I love that. That's awesome.
I think I coined that, the era of the new roaring 20s. And, you know, because everybody, we talked about this a second ago, everybody's like, it's 2020. You got to get your vision. Get it straight. Yeah. Get good vision. And
yes.
I want to do something different. Something, you know, and I really do. Somehow, Heather, and I'm sure you can relate to this, I found my fight.
Yes.
Good.
Yes,
after that hellacious 2019, I found my fight. So
love hearing that. Yeah. Where was it hiding?
Oh, gosh. It was just buried under daily activities.
Yeah,
you know,
I get that. Yeah,
you know, just kind of things get tough, and instead of roaring back and taking authority and deciding I'm not putting up with this in life, you kind of just either are shell shocked and don't say anything, or you get depressed and you don't say anything. You know what I mean? So I decided, you know what, I've been through enough, and I'm taking my life back. I'm taking it back.
You know, I love that. And I just want to say one thing. I think if I were to say, like, what has really come to reality for me in the last year and coming into the new year, it's this word intention. Like, yes. I think it's so easy for us to be reactive to life. And like you said, you know, you were dealing with all just the normal day in and day out life stuff. And what happens is we kind of lose sight of what we want, what we want to put intention into.
Yeah.
And I think that you sometimes have to quiet down, create a little space in your life where you can say, what am I even doing here? Like, yes. What is it I want for myself? And not just reacting to everybody else's requests for your time and for your attention.
Yeah, because it's so easy to be like, it feels like you're just running and putting out fires instead of actually being the one to start the fire where you want it to be.
Absolutely.
And it's just not a healthy way to live, but so easy to slip into that. And now, for the listeners that are new to the Julie Tussey Show, you've been on here a few times, but you've lost 170 pounds. And how long have you kept it off for?
Actually, this month is my 8-year anniversary of keeping it off.
So congratulations.
Woo! Thank you. Yeah, I really appreciate that. And I, you know, it's interesting. You know, I did my blog post every year. I do a blog post about kind of what was this year of maintenance like, because, you know, my passion is about talking to people about this idea of maintenance, right? Yeah. About, you know, what does that really look like? Because I think we get so caught up day to day in how much did I lose, how much, where am I from my goal? But we don't really ever see people 8 years out or 10 years out talking about what is that like. And as I was putting together my 8-year anniversary post this last year, I was hit with I called it the apathy bug. I just didn't feel like what you just said at the beginning. I didn't feel like that fight, and I was feeling really apathetic. And I will say in the last quarter of 2019, I personally really turned it around for myself, because I didn't want to be the statistic. I didn't want to fall backwards in a way that I didn't feel good about. And I think the important thing we have to remember is at any point in our journey, no matter how long we've been doing something, we can lose touch of intention. We can feel apathetic, but we have to always go back to why did we start this to begin with, right? Gosh. And center ourselves.
Yeah, you are preaching to the choir, sister, right now, because I'm telling you, that's exactly where I found so many things in my life in 2019 that I found. And, I think we are kind of the same personality. I am a go-getter, and I set goals, and I do everything to attain them. And you, of course, know that my weight loss has been like my Achilles heel. The one elusive thing. But I never quit. And you know how we were talking earlier about this, like you said, apathy kind of sets in where you just feel like you're just living life. I can see that relating to how people eat. And how, before you know it, you're grabbing pizza, here you do it. And before you know it, you've gained weight and you're in this place like, oh my Lord in heaven, who's looking back at me in the mirror and what the heck am I going to do about this? And I think that's where someone as successful as you are can really, really step in and help, because the message about losing weight with maintenance in mind that you share, that has really, really changed my life. I went through a whole bunch of stress this year, like severe stress. I was down 30 pounds. Part of that was stress. And then after you start eating 2 weeks later, you gain weight back. And so I think I'm about 20 pounds down right now. So, I gained the 5 for the holidays. And I realized that what I was doing, Heather, was using food as a comfort, because it was a stable thing. Does this make sense to you? It was like, yeah, I can do this. I can't control the rest of the things going on around me right now, because you can't control people. You cannot control other people. But I was kind of using it for, I don't know, self-medication or whatever. And you know me, Heather, you've seen my diaries. I'm not a big overeater or anything. I just stopped. I just got apathetic in my weight loss goals.
Right.
And then it occurred to me, you could starve yourself and it'd come off really fast. And then I hear your voice in my head. So the devil on my shoulder is saying, you can just starve. And then I hear Heather, the good angel, like what you teach, it's marked me like the maintenance, losing it how I want to stay the rest of my life. And I think that's helped me that it's been 5 years or 4 or 5 years and I've not lost more than 20 pounds, but I kind of don't care. I want to lose more, but it's just changed my life.
Yeah, well, I'm really happy to hear that. And I think like so that thought process, right, the wanting to keep the weight off, it's going back to kind of what we've already talked a little bit about. It's about living with that intention of thinking through, what does that really look like if I were to starve myself and then I were to go back to my old ways, right? I'm going to gain the weight back. It's thinking months, if not years down the line. And it's really visualizing for yourself what you want this to look like. Like, I'm so extremely thrilled that you've kept this 20 pounds off, because statistically speaking, if you just go with some commercial diet plan and you lose the weight, 90 something % of people gain it back, because they don't think about the next year and the year after. They're willing to put themselves through whatever hellacious experiment that this diet plan might be to lose the weight. But the truth is, when they think about day to day, holiday to holiday, year to year, if they're not willing to do those behaviors long term, that weight's coming back. But whatever you've done to keep this 20 pounds off, it's obviously things you can maintain and keep up with. Exactly. And that's and that's what we need when we think about intention with weight loss, when we think about, actually doing this from a well thought out place. It's starting with the end in mind. Where do I want to be in 5 or 10 years? Not where do I want to be in 5 months? And that's a totally different vantage point, and it's going to affect the choices you make differently than if all you're thinking about is just getting to your goal weight. And honestly, for me, one of the biggest eye-opening things was starting to see that whatever I did day to day to lose weight, I had to do day to day to maintain it. I'm now at 8 years of maintenance. My days look the same as they did when I was losing, and I have to do all the same things. So there's no rush. Like, you get there, but then you still have to do all the work. And when you see that, it kind of takes a little pressure off, because you start to kind of realize, yes, you can hurry up and get there, but the there that you're hurrying up to get to is the exact same reality you're standing in now. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think that you're blowing some minds right now, because I believe that we all have this fallacy in our mind, like, whatever we do, starvation or super low calorie or cut out all the carbs or whatever it is you're doing, that you think that, okay, when I hit goal, whoo, I did it now, and now I can just eat whatever I want.
Oh, yeah, I know. I just talked to a lady on the phone today who literally told me she's really good at losing weight, but then when she gets to her goal, she goes back to eating the Nutella and the peanut butter, and before she knows it, she's packed all the weight back on. And I said, well, that's the problem. When you and I work together to lose this weight this time, Nutella and peanut butter have to be in the mix. Because
I love that.
Yeah, because if she isn't eating it while she's losing, and she's holding out for when she gets to her goal, and she's white-knuckling it to get to her goal, she's going to always go back to Nutella and peanut butter. And she's always going to put the weight back on, and it's a vicious cycle. So when you're thinking, when we talk about with the end in mind, with that intentional thought, what are the foods right now that you're not willing to say goodbye to forever? Maybe it's pizza, maybe it's Nutella, maybe it's ice cream. I don't know. Look at those foods and say, how can I work those into the plan I'm following so I can enjoy them on a weekly or monthly basis while losing the weight? That's kind of that maintenance concept, which is, I'm going to have to do this forever. I'm going to need to be somewhat cautious about what I'm eating to maintain my weight loss. So I've got to build this in a way to where those foods I like and enjoy can be part of the mix. I'm not going to keep them out and then bring them back in, because that's when a lot of destruction happens.
I totally agree. I have to say that I've lost all this weight and kept 20 pounds of it off eating chocolate and nachos and Mexican food. And but that's how I want to live. And I'm not to the place where I'm so old that I'm like, I don't care, I'm going to eat whatever I want. I'm not there, but I did learn from you that I have to have those things that make me happy, because eating is a lot more than just nutrition. Eating is society. Eating is celebration. Eating is satiety. How do you say that word?
Satiety, yes.
It's
no,
satiety.
I'm so glad you bring that up. Yeah, because that's what you have to keep in mind, too. And honestly, that's usually the tipping point that I see where most people really need to rethink what they're doing is most people are good for about 6 to 8 weeks. They'll start a new program. It'll be super regimented. They're willing to adhere for 6 to 8 weeks and do whatever that thing is. But when the weight loss starts to slow down, and they're 6 to 8 weeks separated from maybe going out and having beers with their friends or having pizza on a Friday night, then the resentment kicks in because they're not seeing the weight loss on the scale that they were the first few weeks. They're still sacrificing all the food, and they're starting to see the impact it has on their social circle. And I often tell people, your plan is not sustainable. It's not maintainable if you are sacrificing positive social relationships for it. Now, obviously, you drinking with your buddies every night and getting hankered is not going to be the kind of relationships we're talking about.
Right.
But if you love getting together with your friends once a week and having a couple beers and a few slices of pizza, which is reasonable,
yes,
and that's something that brings joy to your life, you should not be removing that joy for a weight loss goal. You want to modify what you're doing a little bit. Maybe you have to drink light beers. Maybe you have a little less pizza. Maybe you get a side salad with it. But you don't want to ostracize yourself from your circle of friends and your family, because eating is very social. It's a very part of our social makeup, and we have to keep that in mind. And this is, again, that intentional piece of looking at all of this holistically and saying, am I going to be happy doing this long term?
Exactly.
And you might sacrifice that all right now in the moment and feel really good about it because the weight loss is happening quickly, but eventually it won't be happening quickly. And you want to make sure that you're building this in a way that it is able to have longevity and not just be a quick way to lose weight.
Yeah, that's awesome. And another thing, I'm sure you realize this. It's the 21st of January as we're taping this. So isn't it this week that most people who make a New Year's resolution fall off the wagon?
Oh, yeah. I want to say it's usually by the beginning of February, but yeah, usually within the last couple weeks of, and that makes really good sense, because if you think about it, because most people get super geared up at the beginning of the year. They get very excited. Everything's new and fresh. The second week, again, you're still seeing really good results. Usually by that third week, the excitement has worn off, right? And it's become commonplace. And at usually 4 to 6 weeks is when weight loss slows down for most people.
Yeah.
Like if they were having it happen really quickly at first, it usually starts to peter out, which also can be one of the reasons why people want to abandon it. And it's not to say, okay, well, then I need to speed up my weight loss. No, it's to make the weight loss livable to where you can enjoy your life while it's coming off a half a pound here, 3/4 of a pound there. It's not going to be happening at that rate, because honestly, that's not going to be weight loss that's maintained long term.
Right.
And you want to remind yourself all the time you invest in this process will benefit you when you're maintaining long term.
Exactly.
We're really good at practicing weight loss. Like everyone's super good at starting a new program, joining the gym, all that kind of stuff. But when we think about the things that we put our time and attention into to practice to get good at, we're very good at dieting. But what we're not really good at is maintaining a weight long term, because who actually practices maintaining? Who says, let me set my calories at maintenance? Let me see what that looks like to not try to lose weight, to actually stay the same weight. We don't practice it. So we're not inherently good at doing that. And so when we hear about all these scary statistics and everything about people who regain weight, my question would be, how much time did they spend practicing maintenance, right?
Exactly.
And so if we were to switch our focus and say, I'm going to be maintaining my weight longer, like I'm at 8 years now. It took me 5 years to lose the weight. So I've got 3 more years in the maintenance bucket than I did the weight loss bucket, right?
Yeah.
So if I think about my life in that way, wouldn't it make sense that practicing maintenance would be a really smart thing while I'm losing weight? So that way I've actually got some practice with it, and I've had some time to work on those skills before I'm in it long term. And the answer is yes, right? Like that's where we want to focus on. It doesn't mean that you never lose weight. It just means you might take the month of December to practice maintenance, or you might pick a time when you're going to go on a holiday trip, like a vacation in the summer, to practice maintenance. Like you put it on your calendar and you actually are intentional with practicing it.
You are absolutely brilliant. And that has changed my life. I love that. I will tell you this. I actually have, through this weight loss process, because of you teaching me this, taken maintenance breaks, and I'll take a week or 2 weeks in the middle of what I'm doing. And I love it. I love it. I feel like I'm just eating so much.
Oh, that's awesome.
I know. And I don't know why I feel like that. But, I think it's good for your body, too, Heather, because I think when you stay at the same 1,200, 1,300, 1,500, whatever your calories are losing, I think that your body gets used to it.
Yes.
And so I used to do really, really well, and then I would hit a plateau. And I would just stay on this plateau. And you taught me to do this, and it works. So I want to make sure we share it in this podcast. And that
I think it's a great one. Yeah.
Yes, whenever I hit a plateau or I start seeing weight loss slow way down, I'll take a maintenance break, 1 or 2 weeks. And then when I go back to doing what I was doing, it works again.
Yeah, and there's 2 reasons for that, by the way. I really want everyone to think about this. So we get burnt out when we're doing the same things over and over again. It's just human nature. The more that you do something, the more we try to cut corners, the more we try to pick the easiest way to do whatever it is, whether we're talking about making Xerox copies or whether we're talking about weight loss. It doesn't matter, right? So from a psychological standpoint, if you've been on a deficit for, let's just say, 3 months, the longer that you stay on that calorie deficit, even if you feel like your progress is going well, there is a really good chance around the same time you're starting to slip into a plateau, you're probably also getting somewhat less focused on the behaviors that go into weight loss.
Right.
And it can happen to everybody, and without them even knowing it. It's like, wait a minute, no, I'm still tracking my food. I'm still doing this. But it's the little things, like maybe you didn't weigh your peanut butter on the food scale. Maybe you're not weighing your coffee creamer. Maybe you missed this one little taste of this or whatever.
Right.
It's those little things.
Maybe you missed that entire burrito.
You missed the whole burrito. But yeah, no, to your point, it gets that way. And what it is in your mind, you say, oh, I'm focusing on weight loss. Oh, I'm still doing all the things. But your level of quality with those things might be decreasing. And it's not like you're intentionally doing it. It's just you're human. Yeah. And the longer you do anything, the more we look for shortcuts. That's just the way our brain is wired. So when you take those maintenance breaks, not only are they good from a metabolism standpoint, like you said, it's just an opportunity for your body to eat more. Possibly if you've been downgraded with your metabolism a little bit, it's a little chance to pick it back up. But psychologically, it's very good for you because it gives you a little bit of a mental break from being in that more strict calorie deficit, which then allows you to feel a little bit more at peace. Plus, you feel like you've switched to something else. So when you go back with more focus. You go back with a little bit more gusto because you've had that chance to replenish and renew. Just like when we go on vacation from work, we come back. It's like, okay, yeah, I'm back at work. I'm feeling a little better and more focused. It's the same idea. So there's always those 2 benefits. So I always tell people, you're never going to get shortchanged from taking a maintenance break. It's only going to either help you with your focus and your day-to-day actions, or it's going to actually help from a metabolism standpoint. But either way, it's a really good thing. And there's a book I'm reading. I'd like to mention this because I think it would be helpful. It's a great book. I'm reading this book called Happier. Hold on, let me make sure I give you the right name of it. Happier by Tal Ben Sahar, PhD. It's a great book, but one of the reasons I wanted to share this with you is he goes through the 4 archetypes of the people who fall into, they're trying to become happy from one of these, and they fall into one of these 4 different categories. And one of the categories spoke to me like volumes. It's called the rat race. And this is the person who has always believed that if they get a good grade on the test, if they turn their project in on time, if they get to their weight loss goal, they will be happy. Like if they could check it off the to-do list and get it completed and turned in, and they feel that sense of completion, that they will feel happiness. What happens though, and this actually did happen to me, I got the 170 pounds off and I was depressed because I wasn't happy the way I thought I would be happy. I had put all of this effort into losing weight thinking happiness was on the other end of that, and it wasn't. And then what I realized was there was a whole other set of goals that Heather had to work on, which was learning to love and appreciate her body, learning to be grateful for her life and her body. And it wasn't just about losing weight. And what he talks about in this book is this idea that those of us that are in that rat race, no matter what we accomplish, check off the to-do list and turn in, we're constantly feeling that sense of emptiness around happiness. And for us to start to break out of that, we have to realize that those carrots we're dangling in front of ourselves saying, well, when this gets done, you'll be happy. That's all fake. It's not real. And so the reason I also want to share this idea in relationship to weight loss and weight maintenance is a lot of people who are listening to this have often probably told themselves, when I lose weight, I'll finally have that relationship I want. When I lose this weight, I'll go for the job I want. When I lose this weight, I'll be happy. It's always putting off happiness and contentment for some arbitrary time in the future. And what I would make the argument is find it today. Do the job you want to do today. Go apply for it. Go out and start making the connections you want to make today. Don't wait for the weight loss. Right. Because once you lose the weight, yes, you're in a smaller body, but it doesn't fix all the garbage up in your head. You still got to work through that. Oh, boy. And I've seen a lot of people lose weight and they're just as miserable and they're still not connected and they still have a job that they don't enjoy. And so you kind of have to find happiness in the everyday and realize that, yes, losing weight can make you healthier. It can help extend your life. It can remove medications. It can do a lot of things. But it's not going to make you feel whole. You're going to have to pursue that outside of weight loss.
Oh, that's good because, you know, we have the fallacy of unicorns and rainbows and euphoria at the end. Yeah. And I'm going to love myself and I'm going to love my body. And you know what? You're not. If you don't love your body big, you're not going to love your body small either because... honey, if you got the booty or you don't, you still got the booty or you don't when you're skinny. Like you're still the same, just smaller. Oh, absolutely. So many people think they're going to wake up and be Pamela Anderson or Kim Kardashian or whatever when they lose. You're still you, and you got to learn to love yourself. And I think it makes the weight loss so much easier if you can work on this headspace now and learn to love you right where you are.
Absolutely. And this is why I love the fact that you and I are having this conversation because, see, the weight loss industry that's selling all of these programs and selling all of these books and wraps and, pills and whatnot. And they're selling you on the premise that this will lead to you being happy. And again, I'm not saying that losing weight does not improve the quality of your life. It very much can. When I was over 300 pounds, I could not physically do a lot of the things I can do now. But in my journey to losing that weight, when I saw that my body was still not visibly acceptable based on what I thought it was going to look like, it hit me hard. I remember crying for days on end, and I was the lightest I had ever been. And my point is that if we can divorce this idea of happiness, contentment, and a sense of worthiness from how much we weigh and actually just let our weight be, okay, I want to lose weight. I want to be able to get off my blood pressure medication. I want to be able to chase my grandkids around. I want it to provide me the ability to do certain things, but realize that if I want to feel good about me, I've got to work on a gratitude practice. I need to actually be thankful for the body I have now and actually start to see myself differently now instead of some futuristic fairy tale that a company is selling me these products based on, you know?
That is so good. That is so good. Totally.
Yeah, but that book is great. I'm really enjoying it. And I just thought I'd mention it because I know a lot of times when people pursue these different things, whether it's paying off debt, getting rid of weight, all these different things, it's all with the guise of I will feel good about myself. I will feel happy. And there are certain things that will make better, but you have to remember you can be happy today if you start to work on your own mindset today. And that can start right away.
Exactly. Can you spell the author's name for us?
Sure, yeah. I had
to
pull it up on my computer because my husband took my book with him in the car.
It's so good your husband will steal it.
I don't think that's the case. But yeah, it's Happier. And the name of the author is Tal Ben, Ben hyphen Shahar.
Thank you, because that was a mouthful.
Yes,
How am I going to find that book? Well, Heather, what's been going on and what's new with the Half Size Me world that you've been building? I've been watching. Lord. Oh my goodness, girl, you're on fire.
Yeah, I'm telling you what, 2020, I'm going to be creating space in my life and taking a little bit of gas or off the pedal of gas.
Come on, girl.
Yeah, last year I created a bunch of teaching toolkits. I created a bunch of coaching casts. I created the Half Size Me program, which was 4 different modules of content for each person, depending on what they need. I recorded an entire new podcast in the last half of the year, which is just now going to be getting ready to release. It was like, if I had to say 2019, it was busy. You know what I mean? It was like jammed. And I moved at the end of 2018. So we were like, it was just like one thing after the other. But I'm thankful I invested the time and created all of this content, right? So I've got that now. So the new podcast is going to be called Healthy Parents Equals Healthy Families. And it's a resource for parents that want to start to help their children, but they don't want to come at it from the perspective of my kid needs to lose weight. My kid's doctor said I need to have them lose weight. It's more about how the parents can start to model behaviors, how the parents can start to change the family tree with health and weight and eating behaviors. So I think it's going to be really, really good. And like I said, that should be rolling out here the very end of January to the beginning of February. And that's an entire season that we've already recorded.
What will that be called? So people who, of course, they're listening to a podcast now, so we know they could go look for it.
Yeah. So the main show is Half Size Me, which is the one that's been out since 2012. This one is going to be called Healthy Parents with the equal symbol equals Healthy Families. That's the name of the podcast.
I love it. That's amazing. I'm telling you, we got to get the information to our children.
Yes.
That's what will change our society, I believe. So I think you hit gold there, sis.
I'll tell you now, it warms my heart when I get like a 20-something-year-old or even a late teen who will email me and they'll say, I started listening to you when I was in high school. I was listening to you when I was in college. I actually did some of the things you said. I maintained my weight during that time, and now I'm in my 20s, and I'm actually focusing on losing weight in a really reasonable way. I mean, that just makes my heart beyond filled, you know.
I love it.
That was why I do what I do. Like, if I can save one person from going through the experience you and I went through, like, that's the mission, right? Because that's how we change all this. We change all this with future generations doing things differently than the way we were raised to see weight in our bodies and how we were told to do things.
I know. I know. Our parents did not know the evils of TV dinners, Fritos, and Twinkies. You know what I mean?
Right. Or they try to do their best they thought, let me just take them to this commercial diet program and have them sit in here with a bunch of, blue-haired women. And it's like, wait a minute, what is that setting for these kids? But you until you've got retrospect, you don't have the perspective to say, that wasn't a good idea. You know what I mean? But we have that retrospect now, and we know without a question that putting kids on diets is not the solution to the weight issue that kids are having, because our generation had that happen, and it created this huge problem with adult obesity, and hence why I have a show to begin with, right? Like, I mean, that's where this all stems from. So this is really good because I'm seeing that even on a micro basis, people are changing. I get moms who email me and they say, my kid's doctor said this, and I am choosing not to discuss this in this way with my kid. We're just going to start doing more family meals together. We're going to start going for more family walks together. And I'm seeing parents changing. And I think that that's really what this all comes down to. We're going to have to do like a grassroots effort where we say, let's really kind of assess what hasn't been working, and let's start to talk differently with our kids about weight and body. And let's start to look at this as a holistic family, not as just segmenting out the one kid who has an issue, right?
Right.
And treating this as a family thing. And I love Dave Ramsey. He always talks about changing your family tree with money. We can also change our family tree with weight and food relationships. And it's just a matter of being aware of what doesn't work and doing different things. You know what I mean?
Definitely. I love it. If you are listening today and you maybe have had some weight problems, or your children are dealing with things like that, even if you're all healthy, you probably need to go listen to this podcast and check it out, because I love the information you're talking about. Could I just keep you here for like the year?
Well, I do need to eat and sleep and things like that. Yeah.
We're just going to move you in right here with the Julie Tussey Show. But thank you so much for coming on. How can people find you other than the podcast? I know I did want to say really quick, I've got about, about 4 minutes left. I wanted to say really quick that you don't really actually teach people what to eat. So you want to talk about maybe the half size program and how people can join and what you offer?
Absolutely, yeah. I personally find that when people tell me, Heather, just tell me what to eat and I'll do it, that's really them being dishonest with themselves, because they won't do that. And I know, because I used to do it too. Yeah. People, it's a very intimate relationship that people have with food. They like certain foods. They like the way certain things taste. And it's very imperative that for this to be successful for you, you must eat food you like. And I've seen your food logs, Julie, and there's things that you eat that I have absolutely no interest in. But I know for you, you love it. Yep. And so who am I to say you shouldn't be eating that? There are universal truths to weight loss. One of the universal truths is you must eat less calorically than you are required to maintain if you want to lose weight. Exactly. What I encourage people to do is to look under the surface of the food and the fitness and ask yourself, based on what areas you're struggling with, what is it that's prohibiting you from doing the thing you say you want to do? If you're trying to hit a calorie deficit and you're not able to do that, is it because you're really not good with time management and you don't know how to prioritize the things in your life to get to where you want to go, like meal planning and grocery shopping and food prep? Are you somebody who doesn't put boundaries in with other people, and you tend to find that you're doing everything for everybody else and nothing for yourself? Because I work one-on-one with people, hundreds of people at this point, and what I see is there's a breakdown under the surface that once we fix it, they're off and running. Right. Oh, yeah, now I can hit my calorie target. Now I can get to the gym, because we've had to shift things around that are seemingly not food and fitness related, but greatly impact the decisions they make in regards to those two things. Totally. And most of the time that I'm working with somebody, I'm looking at their job. I'm looking at their personal relationships. I'm looking at how they spend their free time and what things trip them up. And we're usually reconstructing kind of like their life flow, if you will. Yeah. And that, when that all starts to work, then they have no problem getting the calories on point and doing the things they want to do. So when I create my Half Size Me program, I'm not telling you what to eat or what exercise to do. I'm helping you fix those fundamental breakdowns that are causing you not to do the thing that you know you need to do. We're all pretty smart. Like, we know broccoli is better than cake, right? We know that getting in a walk is better than binge watching Netflix on the couch. But yet we keep doing those things. We're very habitual with our behaviors. For those behaviors to change, you have to become heightenedly aware of what you're doing and actually be very intentional with making a plan to change it. And that's why I focus so much on habits and behaviors, because I myself had to change all mine in order to get to my goal. So I know that that's kind of an essential piece to this. And again, that's not what's going to be sold to you at 2:00 in the morning on a weight loss commercial. It's going to be
right.
take these pills and you too can lose X amount of pounds. But yeah, you'll do that for a short period of time and you might lose the weight. But then when you stop taking the pills and you go back to doing what you were doing before, the weight will return. And so you've got to look at changing your life systemically from kind of the ground up and fixing all those systems that are broken down to be supportive of what you're trying to achieve.
Oh, that's so good. Well, how can people find you if they want to join the Half Size Me program?
Yeah, all of my information, just go to halfsizeme.com. I have a free book called Breaking the Diet Cycle. You can get that at halfsizeme.com/BDC. And, of course, you can find the podcast on Stitcher and on Apple Store. And the new podcast will be available there as well. So and that, like I said, so a lot of good stuff coming.
Well, I'm so thankful that you would come on and talk with us today, Heather. You know I love you. I am so glad to see the lives of people being changed every day by what you are doing with your life. I don't think there's anything more fulfilling than what you're doing. So thank you. Thank you so much for being here with me.
Anytime. You know you're one of my favorite people. So if you ever need a podcast, don't ever hesitate to contact me. Or if you just need help and you text me, you know I respond to you.
I know you do. Now, you all heard that, okay? You heard it. It's on tape.
Yes.
It's been recorded. She'll come back. I think I will have you on some more because I really want to hit some of the mindset things with weight loss for those listeners, the Julie Tussey Show listeners, because we're all fighting the big fight, right? But we can win.
Yeah. The body goes where the mind leads, right? I agree 100%.
Exactly. Well, thanks again, Heather. I appreciate you so much.
All right, my dear. You have a good one. Thank you.
All right, you too. I tell you, I love Heather so much because she's done it, you all. She has done it. She's lost 170 pounds. Has kept it off for 8 years. She has changed my life in the way that I look at weight loss. I learned so much from her, and I do want to say that I did the yo-yo dieting my entire life. I'm not kidding. From the time I was a teenager, I started dieting because I had a curvy figure and I thought that I was fat even when I wasn't. And so I've had this love-hate thing, and I know what works, and I was in the same exact boat where if I could get it off, I couldn't keep it off. So I have changed my life listening to Heather. Go check out her podcast. She is amazing. She is doing great things, and the things that she teaches, you just will not hear anywhere else. So go check her out at the Half Size Me podcast. This is Julie Tussey telling you, you only get one life, one amazing, fabulous, wonderful, phenomenal life. Live it to the fullest, darling. Live it to the fullest. After a week of hearing hundreds of I can'ts, I'm here today to tell you you can. Find us on social media at facebook.com/The Julie Tussey Show and Instagram, The Julie Tussey Show, home of the original Suburban Bombshell. To get your copy of the music you hear in today's program, go to cdbaby.com/CD/Julie Tussey 4. I want to take a minute to say thank you so much to our supporters, underwriters, sponsors, those of you that give to our nonprofit corporation, The Voice Incorporated. If you want to give into this ministry and this program, you can go to The Voice INC. The Voice INC on Venmo, or you can email me at thejulietussey@gmail.com. Thank you so much for your kind consideration, and remember, all gifts are tax deductible. Only on the Julie Tussey Show are you going to hear that you are not created to be ordinary but extraordinary. You are not created to be common but uncommon. You are not created to be average but above average. You are not created to be tolerable or passable. No, but you are created to be remarkable, noteworthy, impressive, striking, outstanding, brilliant, excellent, superb, praiseworthy. We could go on and on about how awesome you are. Visit theJulieTusseyShow.com. Lots of fabulous shopping, beautiful things that you might want to get as a gift or for yourself. You can also reach out to me and communicate with me there. TheJulieTusseyShow.com.
If life is my oyster, darling, pass the hot sauce.